Role-playing can be a fun way to put your imagination to the test and immerse yourself while creating your own storylines to follow. It's unfortunate how an enjoyable hobby gets spoiled by someone confessing about them suicide baiting for attention, or a call-out post exposing somebody in the community. Around last year, I came across the latter, a massive thread about someone known as Neo exposing her awful behavior within the My Hero verse. It may seem as though the community came together in an effort to remove a problematic figure. Today I'm going to show you how a community likes to police others, while using out of context or false evidence to dogpile someone they don't like. There's going to be a few terms I want everyone to be familiar with in order to understand the contents of this video. Aged up characters are minors that are aged up versions of themselves. As an example, let's say I want to roleplay Bakugo but don't want to use his canon age. I can portray him as a few years older. I'll shorten this to AUC when necessary. Lewd or NSFW will be interchangeable with each other, however in the context of this video it'll be referring to sexual themes. Ships are the concepts of fictional couples. They're usually made up in fandoms used as a kind of what-if moment between characters. They're usually non-canon but in rare cases become canon to the story. Neo was involved in many fandoms: Naruto, My Hero, Bleach, and Attack on Titan. Her accounts would feature art along with in-character tweets of her OC in these different fandoms interacting with various characters. On occasion she'd draw lewd art of her OC or commission pieces for other people. On December 23, 2022, a thread was made exposing Neo for the following claims: supporting pro-shipping and pedophilia, adding on more claims of doxing, enabling pedophilia, and defending lewd minors. Putting out a warning to stay away from this person while presenting proper evidence is a good thing to do. However, when your entire thread only refers to fake characters, I have to question, what the fuck are you talking about? Surely there has to be something we can all give Neo shit for. So, let's segue into the least important claim of them all: pro-shipping. Pro-shipping is a fandom slang term that defines the following: one who supports a ship or shipping deemed problematic and or believes in the freedom to create and consume fan works with such elements. So stuff like incest, abuse dynamics, and age difference, just to name a few. It's weird, but on a surface level, it's fine. You have the right to ship whoever you want, however you want, even if it's extremely cringe or fucking disgusting, long as it ain't hurting nobody. The only mention of supporting pro-shipping are screenshots of her friend listing out ships they like, which is normal for the community to list ships if they're open to shipping. They forgot to mention the other ships listed are either aged up or adults. The Tomura account flipped to another character while the Deku account recently deactivated. In this context, I don't see the big deal about pro-shipping, nor does it really fit the definition. I could maybe understand if she were shipping her OC with a younger version of Deku or something, but that's not the case. Where do the pro-shipping claims come from?
I actually have no idea. I believe it's because at the time, over 3 to 4 years ago, the Neo was shipped with aged up accounts. At the time, Neo, like when I first introduced her to the My Hero fandom, this is where it came from, the My Hero fandom. At the time, she was 18, the way I drew her when I first got into the fandom. I was around a bunch of people who were fine with aged up, and I thought that was normal. And this was over 3 to 4 years ago. I just thought that was pretty much normal. But then I started to realize that there were people that didn't like that whatsoever. And since then, my views changed. Well, that's where that came from. To be honest, that is where that came from. But I've never been a pro-shipper. I've never been a pro-shipper, ever.
There's no evidence of Neo or her friend blatantly saying they have ships that relate to the definition of pro-shipping. However, the next claim listed in the thread is a very dangerous and real threat, which is doxing. The doxing claims contain random stories and accusations of her doing so without providing any solid evidence. The story I gathered from the tweets is this: Neo hired a hacker to try and dox people over a meme. There's a screenshot of Neo talking to a group called the Great Londini, which is an online group that helps victims of bullying and scams.
Okay, so I had a person message me saying that there was a video or something that was up from the Great Londini, and they said that they've seen it. And I thought, oh, okay. Because so then I contacted them after that, and I said, thank you for looking into my case. And that's why I contacted them. I literally contacted them to say thank you.
So what was the video about?
I actually don't know, because I never saw it. I never saw the video, so if the video was up, it must have been up for a very short time and then taken down.
Wait, so you didn't see the video, but the person who messaged you said there was a video?
Yes.
That's weird. It's really
Yeah.
weird, actually.
That's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
There were actually two statements that claimed you tried to dox them because of memes, and you tried hiring people to do so. Was that related to the Great Lundini?
Yes, it was related to that. And because, well, they were putting pictures of myself on a gravestone. I mean, if it was any one of them.
Oh, I remember seeing that. I remember you making a tweet about that.
Yes. Yes. And I'm sorry, if it was any one of them, they wouldn't like it. They wouldn't like it. They'd soon be crying, seeing themselves on a gravestone, I'm sure.
So that was the meme that you were trying to, I guess, have them stop posting it. So that's why you contacted the Great Lundini?
That was part of the reason, yeah.
Okay, that's part of the reason. There was another claim. It's a doxing claim on top of you spreading rumors because they called you out.
Okay, right. So where this came from, as I said, I had threatened. I never did it. I never done it. And was that good? I'd say no, but there was a reason behind it. And well, back all that time, friends of mine were self-harming. Friends of mine wanted to commit suicide. People being driven out of fandoms, chased from fandom to fandom, being witch hunted everywhere I went. And the thing is, a lot of them were hypocrites that were doing it. That were doing it to my friends. Because they'd done things themselves and they wanted to act like they'd never done anything like that in their lives. So I was driven to the point, especially when I was looking into cases where people had committed suicide. Because let's just say, for example, even though I'm not pro-ship or anything like that, there was a minor that did a pro-ship piece of art and they had committed suicide around that time.
Damn.
Yeah, they'd committed suicide around that time because they were dealing with behavior like that all the time. And this is a kid.
That's
this is
unfortunate.
That is a baby. Like,
That
I think they were
shouldn't happen.
they're 15. They're 15. And when I heard about that, it drove me. I will admit, it drove me crazy. Because I'm just thinking, well, like, if these people, you know, they care so much about fictional characters, but they don't know when to stop. And like, do they want to kill somebody? Like,
They care too much about the fictional characters.
Yeah, they care way too much about the fictional characters. But in my eyes, I just saw real children getting killed.
Every mention of doxing is stated as she tried to dox them and never saying that she did dox them. Obviously, she shouldn't have threatened to dox anybody, but from her point of view, she felt like there wasn't a choice. You're getting attacked online and the only way you think you can stop it is to contact a group dedicated to getting justice for victims of bullying, scams, and so on. There's no hard proof of her actually doxing anybody because let's be honest, it would have happened already, especially if you were asking for it. At the tail end of the Twitter post, there's a bunch of personal stories that have similar themes. According to them, Nia was manipulative, abusive, someone who goes out of their way to harass and stalk people that call them out for her disgusting behavior, along with spreading rumors. With all of these people having similar but very negative interactions with her, there's gotta be something here. Maybe this is what's really important, highlighting her awful behavior so other people wouldn't have bad experiences to share. So I asked her this question: are you doing something that forces these people to have a negative reaction whenever you're mentioned.
Okay, so back then, I was friends with probably an artist, so I'm going to mention one of the big ones. I was friends with an artist. I don't know if I want to mention their name, so I'll just call him P. I'll just call him P. We had a falling out, and things didn't really go as I would have liked. They basically said I manipulated them, tried to make them feel bad, and that I told her all the business and everything when they were telling our business before I was even saying anything. I believe it was a mixture of bad on both of our parts, and we just didn't treat each other well as friends. And what they failed to leave out is that, well, maybe I shouldn't be bothered mentioning all this, but accusing me of lying about my auntie dying and stuff like that. When it, yeah, so it's just, I just believe that we didn't treat each other well, to be honest, and it could have been better from both of our parts.
When I spoke to another friend of yours, they mentioned that it wasn't the first time you've been called out, so I just assumed there was a pattern of behavior that I'm not seeing, and was hoping you could probably explain that to me. Like, I'm not sure if it's just because of you shipping with the characters, or it's something you might have done personally to them, because they're all personal stories.
This is mainly because I've cut off from people and not wanted to associate with them, due to them, like, maybe talking behind my back, or and there's so many of the stories that I didn't think that they would hold on to still, regarding P, for example. I didn't think they'd still hold on to that like 3 or 4 years later, because I moved on, and I tried to in the meantime, and like in between that, reconcile, but they had still held on to that. I did try to reconcile with some of those people, but they didn't want to, and they decided when that post was made to just jump on it. That's what I saw. I just saw a bunch of people that I had problems with, or we didn't get along anymore, just jump on the post. That's what I saw, really. There are things that I regret, however, regarding P in particular. I do wish that I had done things differently. I do wish that I didn't speak as much as I did to another person about how I felt. Those are some things that I regret doing. I didn't mean for them to feel hurt, because I genuinely loved them, but things just didn't turn out the way I expected.
Gee, you make one little mistake and they never let you forget.
Finally, I'll be moving to the most serious and frustrating claim, pedophilia. I want everyone to be familiar with the Merriam-Webster definition of the word pedophilia: sexual perversion in which children are the preferred sexual object, specifically a psychiatric disorder in which an adult has sexual fantasies about or engages in sexual acts with a prepubescent child. I'm going to leave this on screen and highlight it when anything I talk about describes the definition. The creator of the thread shows that Neo followed multiple lewd AUAs despite being against aged up accounts, then talks about the thread she made about the age of consent. What they didn't mention was how this statement was debunked in the tweet that they screenshotted. I do not agree with lewd aged up accounts. Her pinned tweet says the same thing. Lewd focused aged up accounts do not engage. There are things I don't agree with, and I hope you understand that. Thank you for reading. Out of context, the age of consent tweet is weird. The fact she even goes on a tirade about it can look bad, I get it, but the only reason she made that tweet is because this community applies the age of consent to fictional characters. To all of those who believe that 18 is the only age of consent that exists in the world, I want to start off with, I'm from the UK. Age of consent is 16 over here. However, in my personal opinion, I believe it should be 18. But if you look really closely, the age of consent most common around the world is 16. This is common knowledge. If you look at these statistics and still believe that your laws are the only ones that exist, then you are in for a rude and shocking awakening. You do realize also that in the States, there are some that also have 17 as age of consent, but essentially you are enforcing your own laws on everyone else around the world. Even worse, applying it to fictional characters. So you took time to record the entire thread, didn't read it. Screenshot a tweet where Neo says the complete opposite of what she's being accused for. Didn't read that either, and lied about what she said.
Boy, I sure do hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
You can roleplay as a character that's a minor, and that's fine. An argument can be made that instead of aging up a minor character, you can roleplay older characters within the universe. Not everyone wants to roleplay certain characters. Maybe they don't like the character, don't have a muse for them, don't know how to write them, or want to write the minor character differently. So if that means making a younger character older, nothing is stopping them from doing that. Nobody wants pedos in any community. Sometimes. But there has to be a valid reason as to why this claim was made in the first place. Maybe she was sending pictures of herself to minors or doing lewd roleplays with them, since that could be seen as sexting a minor. It's about aged up characters. It's about doing lewd roleplay and shipping with aged up characters.
Huh?
I would love to tear Neo to shreds if she were talking to minors, since that's a problem within the community. Minors can and will lie about their age just so they can interact with 18+ content. If minors are following you, they have a chance to see lewd themes.
With regards to if I made anyone feel uncomfortable, which some people say they felt uncomfortable or whatever, I didn't mean to make people feel uncomfortable. Because at the time, if you're referring to the my hero account, well, it was like I didn't really know what I was doing with my account at the time. Because there may have been a mention about me role-playing spicy role-plays on the timeline or something. Well, I don't know.
There might have been a mention in that, but go on.
At the time, like, it wasn't very spicy, I wouldn't say, but it was a little bit. And I think a minor might have seen that or something. But I wasn't replying to them or anything like that. It was just I was role playing with somebody, and I didn't really think about it at the time. But then I thought, well, okay, since it's made some people feel uncomfortable, I think I'm gonna have to change how I run my account. So I didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable by me just not thinking about what I was role playing at the time on the timeline, and I completely changed my account. I changed it into minors do not interact, and that's where the changes were made.
Okay.
I made changes to do that, but of course there were some people that weren't very happy about that because they couldn't follow me anymore and stuff like that.
It's impossible to sift through every single follower, especially when you have over 1,000 people following you on Twitter. Of course, Neo should take the necessary steps to purge the minors that are following her. Everyone should, but they shouldn't have to. We shouldn't be responsible for someone else's kid on Twitter and feel comfortable to post whatever we want in our own space. No one's gonna know if minors are following them unless the minors get called out for it. Called out for pedophilia and tweeted about getting naked? Something's not right. I know this may come as a massive shock, but Neo was tweeting about being hot where she lives. And I have to ask, what pedophilia are you referring to? Because the only thing Neo's getting called out for is roleplays and ships with aged up characters, which don't fall in line with the definition of pedophilia.
There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams.
I initially reached out to one of the accusers known as Tia for a comment on the Neo thread due to her being very adamant about Neo not taking accountability, and she respectfully declined, which is fair. But I'm positive that someone who blasted Neo for what she's done would never misuse their platform, have others mention that it's not her first time doing it, feel sorry for herself while hoping she can come back with a fresh start. I talked to someone who I'll call Chaos, who's had his own experience with Tia. If you've been keeping up, you can probably guess what this is. It's about shipping with fictional characters again.
Something wrong? Because you're dreaming.
I've known Nishi for 4 years, and Tia kinda led a witch hunt on her. Several people, including Tia, claim Nishi was a pedophile, and also claim she doxed them. Nishi wanted her to fly. She is the type to defend against that shit. But Tia also led a witch hunt on me too. Tia has a shit ton of friends in the My Hero verse. My Toya was aged down to about 20 years and was a hero. I also made any of my hero muses strictly non-lewd. My Toya was shipped with an aged up Fembakugo. It was nothing crazy, just a simple non-lewd ship. Tia and a couple others at the time started talking shit behind my back saying I was a pedophile. I got put on a list by a Nezu account called Thx Bux. I looked through that list. It's full of lolly writers, beast artists, and so much more. I broke down because I got lobbed in with them, and people came for my throat in my DMs, and the mun of that Fembakugo got just as much flack and had a panic attack. She made her account private, and I abandoned the verse altogether. Tia's most recent abuse of her platform was when she decided to accuse this writer of being another person she's had issues with, the one who I mentioned that suicide baited earlier in the video. Even though he's never spoken to her before, she was so positive that she harassed him for personal information to the point he felt uncomfortable, forcing him towards the only viable option: break his boundaries in order to prove his innocence by joining a voice call he wanted no part in. And apparently she's done this to him before. Several people called her out for what she did, but for the most part she got off easy. Good for her that she apologized, but this shouldn't have happened in the first place. The people she surrounded herself with brushed it off as if it were some tiny mistake. Aw, it's okay buddy. We all accuse someone and harass them for personal information. We all make mistakes. You had good intentions after all. I just hope you're okay. Tia decided to make several statements on the situation weeks after her initial apology. At that point, nobody gave a shit except for Tia.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Shut up, bitch, nigga. Let's go smoke a fucking card.
And you plan on coming back? I don't give a fuck how much she worked to grow her account. I wouldn't want anyone that has a history of misusing their platform in the community ever again. I have no idea how anyone would be okay with the thought of you coming back after watching you blatantly misuse your platform. And if this isn't the first time she's done this, then who knows if she's done this to other people. I don't care that she apologized, and I don't care how bad she feels for doing it either. The fact you were so trigger happy to accuse someone because what, you just felt like they were someone you didn't like is fucking disgusting. She thinks she can come back like nothing happened after feeling sorry for herself. You want to know what you could do differently moving forward when you decide to come back? Do everyone a favor and log off. Permanently. The people involved in this thread would make you believe that Nia was a pro-shipping pedophile who doxes anybody that dared to speak about what she's done in the past. Their effort to bring down someone who was deemed as problematic comes off as a petty vendetta over personal morals about what people in the community think is right or wrong. Rather than talk to Neo like an adult, they'd rather make a call-out post and try exiling her from the community. If you don't like Neo, that's completely fine. That doesn't give anyone the right to make an entire thread with claims that provide little to no evidence. So what if she roleplays and ships with aged up characters? It's fiction. You have people suicide baiting for attention, or even worse, talking sexually to minors and making excuses when they get caught. I even had the chance to speak to another person that's had a similar experience, and it further highlights what the community is really worried about. I was heavily criticized and given heavy backlash when I attempted to bring attention to my new anthropomorphic Pokemon muse when I made it back in March. One of the two things I got harassed for was the overall promotion of a lewd account on an account that had an audience of both not safe for work and safe for work players. Now, despite my labels and warnings of it being 18+, I'll admit to the fault on my part for that particular issue. I only really meant to promote it to the more not safe for work side of my audience in order to get the account off the ground and hopefully get some interactions going for it. I was well aware of the unfair advantage that female muses had over male muses in terms of getting attention and interest from other writers. Therefore, as someone who wanted to muse a male over a female, I thought that I could give the account a kickstart with promoting it, but that ultimately didn't work despite the warnings of the mature themes I put on tweets promoting it. This failure led to the more discussed second cause of the mass harassment toward me, my muse. I didn't know who to muse if I were to dip my toes into the not safe for work side of roleplay interactions. The only character I've ever played and was comfortable playing was my Oshawott. He was a character that was unique to him and doesn't have his own canon to follow up. If I were to write a character like Mario, Rayman, or something that has their own lore characteristics and such, I would have felt bad for not playing the character as close to their portrayal as I could. I refused to implement not safe for work themes onto my Oshawott account. Asha had that sort of young boy energy, and I sure as hell wasn't making an underage muse. My solution at the time, make a new account with a future portrayal of my Oshawott. This way I can continue writing comfortably on the character I spent so much time on while having the freedom of his own character development and portrayal. However, in hopes to solve some issues, it ended up spawning more of its own. I would have thought that some safe for work accounts would have been smart enough to heed the warnings I put on my 2 or 3 attempts at promoting the account. I thought they'd stay away from it and continue to stick around for the standard shit posts I would continue to make. I was very wrong to give safe for work writers as much credit as I did at the time. Next thing I know, I'm getting quote after quote of written harassment and callouts. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't think much of it, but it would eventually grow into the accusations of me being labeled as a zoophile for my Pokemon muse being compared to that of an actual animal. It was harassment left and right from so many safe for work writers comparing Pokemon to an animal and accusing me of being a zoophile. All of this despite the fact my character was bipedal, could understand human language, and have been shown that they could understand it with the obvious evidence of a talking Meowth, communicating with Pokemon and other humans via the human language. At least I'm not playing as an actual animal, because I've seen that vile shit before. I know what that is, and in my opinion that doesn't even come close to a Pokemon. They're monsters, not animals. Cannot convince me these people care about real children being harmed. They're so ready to gatekeep these minor characters from being in 18+ situations as if they're being hurt in some way. All they care about is being morally superior. It takes an extreme amount of mental gymnastics to compare shipping or role-playing with aged-up versions of fictional minors with the sexual abuse of real children. I hate it when people twist the meaning of words to support whatever argument they're making. It's gotten to the point where these words lose their meaning. Groomer can mean a slight age difference, and in this case, pedophile means you roleplay or shipped with aged up characters. What I see is just mindless dogpiling because Neo did some things the community doesn't agree with. Neo didn't come to me begging to clear her name either. I chose to actually look at these claims and see if they were valid. I gave Neo the chance to explain herself. Even if she were guilty, I'd still let Neo speak her side because that's fair. Roleplaying is supposed to be a fun hobby, and it seems a lot of people have forgotten that. Unless what you're doing is an actual crime, ignore people who try to police what you can or can't do in any roleplay community. Regardless of who you choose to write, it's your portrayal and you have the right to do whatever you want with that character. Account size doesn't matter. These people do not control you. If you don't like them or they don't like you, either talk it out or block and move on. It's not worth pushing someone over the edge because they're doing something you deem morally wrong. If you want to rally together and cancel somebody for a just cause, that's fine. Just make sure you have solid evidence with the claims that impact real people and not fictional characters that don't exist.